Welcome back to Copper Star Precision, the channel dedicated to getting you more points at your competitive shooting matches. Today we're going over the NRL22 course of fire for November. This is the first stage in the booklet called Tower Defense. Basically it has 3 cinder blocks here, and the stage description is as follows. Starting position, standing, rifle, all gear in hand, mag in, action open. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the targets in the following manner and order. Top of one of the vertical blocks, near to far with 1 shot each. Lower block between the 2 vertical ones, far to near with 1 shot each. Top of the other vertical block, near to far with 1 shot each, except the last target will have 2 shots, i.e. near, middle, far, far. So it's a 10-shot stage. I'll put the target sizes down below like I usually do. And because we're going near to far, I think it's appropriate to dial for each of the targets, because after shot 3 on the far target, the next shot, shot 4 from the middle position, will also be on the far target. So I think you should dial and do parallax as you go, but it's up to you if you want to do holdovers, if you're pressed for time. But I think it's always a good idea, if you have time, to dial when time is available. Having a balanced rifle always helps. My cinder blocks in the picture, they're kind of like squared off at the ends. I have these different kinds of cinder blocks, but it shouldn't be a problem. As you can see, my bag here rides flat. So how would I approach this stage? There's a couple different methods that I might employ. First would be something like this, where I would assume a kneeling position behind the rifle. In this position, this is a Armageddon Gear pint-sized game changer. I'm down on the rifle like this. I find my first target, I engage. On the course description, it says that the targets are supposed to be placed 15 feet apart, so there will be a little side-to-side movement, not much, but just something to be aware of. So after engaging the first target, I'm going to then dial my dope for the next target, engage that target, dial for the third target, engage that target with the bolt back and the rifle safe. I'm going to move to the middle position using the same bag, but this time I'll assume a prone position. So I'm low to the ground here. I'm using my left hand as rear support. If you want, you can bring some sort of pump pillow with you if you're more comfortable with that. Same thing, just remember that we're on the far target now. We're going to engage. I'm going to dial back down, engage. And as far as parallax is concerned, the last 2 targets are pretty close together, so you'll probably be fine. You'll probably be fine the whole stage, just putting your parallax somewhere around 75 yards. Anyway, back to the near target, engage. Similar thing on this side. Bag goes in the middle, assume a kneeling position. Using my left hand to kind of grip the fore end of the rifle and the bag, making it very steady. Find my target. When I'm on target, I can close the bolt, engage near, and I'm going to dial again, middle, far, far. So you get the idea. So if you don't like the idea of going from kneeling to prone to kneeling, there's another way you could approach this stage, and that would be to just sit in every position. What I mean by that is back to the first position, and here we're actually going to utilize the bipod. And the idea here is to get the bipod to a height that's a little too tall, or too wide I should say. Okay, so that's the good position here. So the idea here is kind of to get the bipod to be kind of like, if you can make your bipod taller, which this one can, you can make the feet narrower to get more height. But just for the sake of argument, this is a pretty standard bipod setup. What you want to do is you want to get a seated position and then move the rifle and then scoot your butt over like this. And maybe it's easier for you to be seated. So if you don't like the prone position, which I think is most stable, but if for some reason you have mobility issues and you can't get down there, I would approach it like this. So at first, we're here, I'm sitting cross-legged, I'm putting my elbows into my knees, and what I'm doing is I'm using this to change my elevation. So we would be back at our first position, and we're going to engage, and then we're going to dial, and then we're going to engage, etc. So let's say it's the third shot. Now I'm simply going to shift over. I can leave my bag there, or if I want, I can move it along to the next position. Now I'm just scooting around. Here, same thing, it would be far, middle, near, dialing in between. And then we're just gonna scoot along to the third position. Same thing, cross legs, elbows kind of in my knee sockets. And I mean, this is pretty stable. So if you can't get down into a prone position, or you're not comfortable, or like I said, you have mobility issues or bad knees or bad back or something, maybe just scooting along in a seated position will help. But I think those are pretty much the two ways to do it. You can either do one bag, move from a kneeling to sitting, kneeling to prone to kneeling, or you can just sit the whole time. You could go sitting to prone. That's a little bit more body movement than I think is necessary for the stage. But just simply a simple bag. Again, this is the pint-sized game changer. This is the full-size game changer, same concept. If you need a little bit more height, you could do that. So for example, this might be a little bit more comfortable for you, putting a larger bag if you can't bend forward as much. And then if you need even more height, you can put that here, put the bipod on top, and we're pretty close to the same height there. So lots of different options. Basically one bag. If you want in the prone position, something a pump pillow or rear bag would help. All in all, pretty straightforward stage. I will say the second target, the one at 90 yards, is the target that is relatively the smallest in terms of size. That's about 0.77 mils. And I put the target sizes up at the beginning of the video, but so take your time on that one. And there will be, like I said, a little bit of left to right movement because the targets are supposed to be spaced apart. So if these tips and tricks helped you develop a strategy for this stage, let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, score more points.